I actually could be in Kansas right now, or I could still be in Oklahoma. Why the fuck am I going up here? Well, I'm crashing Kansa. I don't have a registration. I, don't know how this is going to work. I might have done some illegal things in order to make this work. We'll see. But yeah, I wanted to race. I'm not doing the 200 because I have no fucking business or desire to ever ride my bike. Or at least race. I'll ride it that long, but I'll never race 200 miles. Yeah. But I was like, fuck it, I want to do it. And then they're like, oh, lottery, you can't transfer registrations, which is so fucking whack. And then I'm like, y'all are just money-hungry fucks. And this doesn't matter. And it's on public roads, so I'm just going to go have a good time and, race it with everybody else. And I might have someone else's registration. I might just crash it. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just trying to have fun, and that's what gravel's about. Also, there's no rules, I think in the spirit of gravel, it's, do your own fucking thing. And that's what I'm doing. Oh, yeah, there's a big old snake. It's dead. You like those explosions? I guarantee you there will be more. So yeah, this is the story of how I crashed Kansa, okay? This was a very spur of the moment decision, much like a lot of shit in my life. I was driving back from Quad City Crits in Iowa, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to be in Austin for more than 3 days. I must continue to run from everything. And I was like, well, Kansas is next week, so I might as well do that. And then the following week is Tulsa Tough, so I can go to Arkansas, hang out with Andy Chastain, the greatest human of all time, and then go to Benton, or then go to Tulsa and race and lose, and then go to Europe. So yeah, this works out perfect. But unfortunately, Unbound sells out in 5 minutes. Every fucking Fred in the world wants to say they've raced Unbound. I do think that the magic and mystique of the whole event is fading. I always catch things on the downward trend. But Sagan was going to be there, and I was like, this will be funny. I can put Sagan in the box and win the 100 because again, I'm not racing the 200. But again, very strict protocols to get in. Fortunately, I just put a story out there on the internet. I was like, I need a registration, and then my buddy John Crom, who has a really good podcast, was like, oh yeah, just take mine. And then after doing some research, they don't let you transfer it. They need to show ID. It's very strict. So I'm like, hey, send me your ID. He sends me this beautiful, high-res, perfect ID to get me into this shit. Now, obviously, John and I look very different. So this is going to take a lot of crafty planning to make this work because, I don't know, I have to disguise myself, essentially use a fraudulent ID to get into somewhere I don't belong. And yeah, so I figured what I would do is, when is the worst time for these people that are working these events? Right before it starts. So I obviously go in an hour before my race starts, hoping that the panic going on lets me fly under the radar a little bit better. But again, look, John and I do not look the same. So what do? Okay, first off, obviously, helmet. Easy, okay? This disguises the hair. We have different hair, different eye color, glasses. You can probably see all of the obnoxious camera stuff in front of me. And because everyone knows how much I was afraid of COVID and thought, we should still be in lockdown, and I still think it's the greatest threat to mankind. And again, it was completely justified. I have a lot of masks laying around, so I go into the building looking like this. So, no matter what, I just show them this ID, and they're not going to recognize who the fuck I am. No one's going to recognize me. Not my massive, very important to me internet following either, except one person did and almost blew my cover. But yeah, so I end up getting in, get the timing chip. Maybe the girl was on to me. I don't know. I don't care. But yeah, I made it in. I don't know if there are any consequences to this. I hope that Lifetime just bans me from all the events. I would love to get that amount of attention, and then I'll never be able to race one of their events again. which then gives me like an automatic like cop out for not training for these sort of things. I can just be like, oh yeah, it's like I'm banned from all lifetime events. So maybe that will happen. It would be kind of interesting if it did, but we'll see. You know, this is like 2 months later. I'm pretty behind on making these, mainly because they have like I've just been going, and these have very little value to me. But yeah, so that's it. So I made it in, and this is the first turn after this long procession. Watch this dude just wreck this girl. Boom, lays a shoulder into her. That's the first fucking turn, guys. At this point, I know that I have to get away from these fucking people with backpacks on for a 100-mile race. It's like, come on, is it that necessary? What do you have in there? It's seriously, everyone grabs a fistful of fucking brakes through this mud section, and I just I'm wondering, it's like, what the fuck is going through these people's heads that they feel like they need to be in the very front if they're like gonna race this shit? Like, are they really racing it? Are they just trying to do it just time, like just do a good time? I don't know. It's like chaotic, but I see a gap and I go. Now Daniel Austin and them, they're right there. They can't do anything. They're already in the box. I'm a very superior rider, and yeah. So I break away for probably 20 minutes. 20 minutes into the race, for about 20 minutes alone. Then this guy joins me. I don't remember his name. He knew who I was. This is a very common scenario, is that I don't know who people are, and it's not because I don't care. It's because like you have sunglasses on and a helmet and you're wearing a jersey. I just don't recognize anything. Also, they're like trying to have conversations about something, and I'm like, I can't hear you. I'm going so hard. One thing I'll note though is like Kansas is actually particularly beautiful. They got like a lot of rain pretty recently, so like it wasn't dusty. Everything was super green. Tons of cows. Love cows. The weather was nice. Like I'm cleaning the lens, so you guys get the top quality experience. But yeah, I mean, it's like, just like rollers through this shit, like pretty chill. And like I would say we have like a 45-second gap. I ended up doing, I think, like power wise, like 375 for maybe like 45 minutes or something like that. Nothing too crazy. There's a lot of mud sections though. And I realized like the main group is going to die when they go through this stuff. And then eventually we'll get joined by the strongest riders. Now, here is one of those strongest riders, Peter Sagan. He pulled me back. He literally was pulling me back, which is hilarious. Because I'm like, you have won multiple world championships, and I am racing against you. Now, a lot of people are thinking, Chris, is Sagan going to try and win? Are you fucking stupid? Like, why the fuck would Sagan, one of the greatest riders of all time, want to win a 100-mile, the lesser version of a bike race? But people were genuinely thinking he was trying to win this bike race. Was he riding like strong? Yes, but our max pace, he is like chilling. I was doing 600-700 watts up these like little rollers, and he was like nose breathing, like no problem. Also, holy shit, his cologne, so intense. And like, I don't know if it's a Euro thing, but whew, anywhere in the peloton, I could smell him. Which I like, because I love to, have a distinct scent myself in the peloton. And yeah, he definitely had one. Here's a clip of him motor pacing. I thought this was illegal. Now, as you can see, it's a slight riser, so I'm pretty much fucked. Donovan goes. He weighs like probably 200 pounds less than I do. But yeah, at this point we had strided the field of like I forget how many fucking people. Maybe 1,500? Down, it's like 20. And yeah, and like everyone's like waving at Sagan as they go by. It's like, oh my god, that's Sagan. And then they're like, oh holy shit, that's Chris Tolley. He's way better. That was like the pretty common reaction that we got as we were going through the Flint Hills. But yeah, Sagan was not racing this. If you thought that, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm not afraid to say it, because it just like does not make sense. And yeah, he's actually eventually gonna pull off though. It's like we're about at mile 40. We're going about 20 miles an hour for this part of the bike race for the first 2 hours, and that's like the hilliest portion. Like it's all front loaded. Not that I looked at the map, but someone just told me that, and I was just like, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna win this regardless of where the hills are. So yeah, Sagan pulls off there. I will always moo at cows. It's just instinctual. I just have to do it. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident up until this point, because like it is this group of 20 riders, and I'm like, cool, they're gonna pull me to the finish line. It's all flat. I'm gonna sprint and win, right? Like it's not that bad. But there's this last hill called the Judge, which is like kind of obnoxious, and my bike dropped the day before this, and I think bent the derailleur a little bit, and so I of course put my chain in between my cassette and my free hub body, or the spokes, and yeah, that's like the worst thing in the world to try and get out because it's so tight. So I'm sitting there for 20-30 seconds, probably a little more, probably like 45, getting this shit undone. I eventually do it. I also cut out a lot of this footage because I'm yelling like obscenities that would get me canceled on the internet. Actually, which is impossible. I cannot be canceled because I don't care. But yeah, I'm back. I'm rolling, and I make up like some good time chasing back on. I get him to like within 30 seconds before catastrophe strikes. Because again, it was flat, and I can go. You see, I'm cruising along. I probably like. I think I checked this like 32 miles an hour through these water crossings, which again, that was my bad decision, because I think a lot of you know what happens. So this water crossing, I went to the far right side, or far left, and hit like a rock shelf that was about probably like 18 inches tall. So my wheel, I couldn't roll over it, and I weigh close to 200 pounds, going 30-something miles an hour, and I just fucking pressed my bike into that rock. And shattered my wheel in 2 places, completely folded it in half. I didn't crash, I just kind of like rode it into the ground. But I end up, like, Sagan and Daniel Oss stop, and they're like actually like pretty chill, like it's fun. Like he was like just making jokes at me, like telling me I was like cocky and stuff like that in like a fun, jovial way. So yeah, that's them, and they're like, "Can we help you?" I'm like, "Give me your wheels," and they did not do that. And there's also no Ubers, by the way, out here. I was like trying, but I'm like, we're in an agricultural field. There is no one out here. And then, of course, this did not make sponsors happy. I never make sponsors too happy. Like, yeah, I like snapped it in half. Like, everybody saw it. It just happened. Like, you know, what do you want me to do? Not exploit this moment? I have to do it. It's just in my nature. But again, I've cracked like pretty much every carbon wheel under the sun. I've never ridden Envies, but I'm sure I would crack those. I end up getting to like a photographer, a little checkpoint, and then like finding this sweet old man couple, or like these two, it's like an old man and woman, and they drive me back into town, but I throw my bike over a barbed wire fence, and I just hope I come back to get it. Like, fortunately, when you have wonderful friends like Matt at Easton, shout out to them, and also, where is he? He's yelling behind the scenes. Bobby, who does Mid-South, one of the best gravel races in the country. They actually went and got my bike in the pouring rain. And when I say pouring, it was like torrential downpour out there. And that was the end of my Kansa trip. I ended up getting 2 rides. I had the, what do you call it? Like hitch a ride from 2 different people. I will say everyone was so nice out there. And so like this old person gave me a ride into one town, and then everyone else coordinated to get me back. And yeah, I mean, ultimately it wasn't ideal that I like wasn't able to finish the race, because I would have won very easily. But next year, unless I'm banned, which by the way, please feel free to, I welcome it. Yeah, that's it. Had a good time. Had fun. Yeah.